So it's wonderful to meet such an artisan as yourself, sir.
Oh, well, I wouldn't call me that, but thank you. I appreciate it. It's good to meet you too, face to face. I'm going to shut this door over here. I'll be right back.
Okay.
It's a trade that I enjoy. I mean, I've done a little bit of everything
Right.
here and there, but this has been my anchor through everything, all the chaos in life, the boat building, you know.
Right. Right. Right.
Uh, 20 hours a day, I'm getting tired. You know how it is. You get
Yeah. Definitely on the farm cutting
Yeah, oh
logs.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to checking out the videos that you sent me. I haven't had a chance to do it yet, but we're in the middle of Unit 4, so that's on my agenda for
Right.
tomorrow. So
No
check.
worries. No worries. I'm going to take your lead, and we're with that footage, we'll do whatever you say. So share
I
it
think
or keep it to ourselves in the archives, whatever you say.
I think we got some good footage there.
Mhm.
So between the boats and the stuff that you sent,
Right.
I think we got some stuff that we can work with. And I'm a member of an organization. We got a local chapter here. I was just reading the magazine here a minute ago. Uh,
Mhm.
it came in this morning, catching up. It's called the Traditional Small Craft Association, the
Right. Right.
TSCA. And I'm actually starting to think about writing an article for the group to publish about this wood and my experience with it in here. I'm kind of excited about this wood. I'm real happy with it so
Well,
far.
that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you today. I mean, before you did research in that fateful day you gave us a call, what did you know about Polonia?
Not a whole lot of anything. I started digging into it a little bit and just searching around on the net, and I found
Right.
out that, it's comparable to cedar for rot resistance. It's a little bit
Right.
lighter,
Hmm.
and then I looked up your organization, and I was impressed with that, the stuff
Thank
that
you.
you do, and the uses of this wood. The biodiesel. I mean, you get fuel from the nuts, and that it's essentially the trees grow back by themselves from the stumps that you cut down.
Right.
Um, and that it's plantation grown, it grows fast, it meets all those environmental bells, which is so critical for us right now, you know.
Well, how did you get started in boat building? Can you tell us a little bit about that? What's that history like?
How long do you have?
As long as you
So,
got.
oh, I've always been a fisherman.
Okay.
My dad loved to fish. We had a 18-foot Starcraft center console back in
Right.
the early mid 70s, back in the dawn of time. And what we wound up doing, we would go along, um, fish port to port here along the Great Lakes for salmon. Uh,
Hmm.
and I would see this old boat out there. There's an island out there, turned out to be the Charity Islands. I thought, you know what, I'd love to make myself a boat and go camp out there. So I started drawing pictures and drawings and design my own boat. So, I'm like
Right.
six. I'm like
Right.
6 years old. And so I saved up my allowance and I bought my first
Wow.
subscription to Yachting Magazine when I was 6 years old.
Wow.
Maybe I was seven. I don't know, but it was right around that age. And,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, yeah, this is cool. So I studied all the new boat designs and the plans and, things like Bertram's and Burger Yachts and Hatteras and things like that, and I was kind of excited. And of course, me and my, 6, 7 year old budget, I don't have money for, buying a new boat.
Exactly. Exactly.
I thought, oh,
Exactly.
my dad's a carpenter. I bet he could teach me how to build a boat out of wood. So here I am, studying all this. So years go by. We started a charter boat in 1980. Started working on that boat.
Hmm.
It was my dad's crew at a ripe young age of 9. And from there we went on to I was say about 13 years old. We worked the charter boat
Okay.
summer. There was a lull in construction, so my dad took the summer to run the boat.
Hmm.
And, we stayed busy enough, but when I wasn't doing that, I'd go hang out with some of the guys at the marina that where we kept our boat for the last few years,
Hmm.
Jerry's Marina in Tawas. And I'm like, hey, got to know a few of the guys and, hanging out in the boat shed with them, we were
Hmm.
pointed something out on a motor and said, "Is this okay?" The guy looked at it and said, "Oh, that crack on a coil, that's not good." And pretty soon I'm helping them wrench on motors.
Okay. So
But
the school of hard knocks. Yeah, definitely.
yeah. It's like, okay, and I helped my dad set up the charter boat
Hmm.
kind of thing. I was just a gopher and it was always, I mean, that was 9 years old, 10 years old.
Right.
And we basically just grew up around it. Well, here I am, 13-year-old me and walking all around the marina. The marina's owner knew my dad was a carpenter and they were a Thompson boat dealer and some
Oh, nice.
cabinets.
Yeah.
Yeah, some cabinets wouldn't open and close correctly in a new boat
Right.
they just had delivered. So we went over there and I helped my dad fix that, and that was pretty fun. And the next thing you know, they said, "Oh, there's this old oh shoot, what it is? Not a Matthews. Anyway, an old cabin cruiser, wood cabin cruiser
Right. Right.
sitting there that needed new plank replaced on the hull, and that
Mhm.
was the first wood plank that I helped replace on the hull, and it's been hooked ever since. So I started my business when I was 19, when I lost financial aid from
Right.
going to college, and
Hmm.
I was studying biology at college. So you understand my biology background a little
Right.
bit. I was
Right.
a ecology biology major, and that comes in real handy in my trade.
Yes, it does.
What I do.
Yes, it does.
So
Definitely.
yeah. Yeah, that's the gist of it. We just we've been doing it ever since. It was 43 some odd years experience and run business. 30 some years of my time, in the industry. Of
Right.
course,
Right.
I was in high school, wasn't full time, for the entire time. Worked as a heavy truck mechanic during the recession, plus doing the boats in the evening,
Right.
weekends, and got to pay the bills. And at one point, I had a shop with 25 boats and 7 employees in it, and I didn't like it. I was
Wow. Well, you don't
yeah.
like babysitting adults?
Yeah, no, no, I don't. It was always interesting to come to work today and
Right.
find what excuse somebody come up with and not come to work. And
Right. Right.
yeah, you
Right.
know how it is. So
I know how
I
it
went
is.
back to I went back to me, myself, and I, and
Hmm.
hired a high school, cheap slave labor, every now
Right.
and then when I
Right.
needed an extra set of hands. And I had a cousin who worked at Lakeway Marine down in Texas for quite a while. When I needed
Hmm.
extra skilled hands in the marine mechanics end of it, because I did it all, in my business. I did, I'd work on the engines, I'd work on boats.
Right.
Spring it was busy, fixing the boats that broke down right after Labor Day, or Memorial Day, and then the fall was always busy, winterizing and everything in between was, usually Monday, Tuesday, I get a call from the weekend. My boat broke while I was out this weekend. Okay, let's figure it out and we'll fix it.
Right. Right.
And then, on top of, well, that's why all the 20-hour days, money's green. I never say no.
Well, I learned a long time ago from multiple boat owners. They said their most fantastic days were the days they bought the boat and the day they sold
It's very true. It's very true. Uh, you know,
it.
it's pretty amazing, to
Mhm.
see that what people are willing to go through, especially in the wooden boat side,
Right.
to create a custom built boat or a replica of something
Right.
or restore a boat with some that has some sort of meaning, some sort of value.
Right.
It's not about dollars and cents,
It's
the value
personal.
in
Yeah.
between. Yeah,
Yeah.
whether it's just the boat that they fell in love with, or it
Right.
was great grandfather's, and it might not be worth a plug nickel, but I got to redo it and put it back at the cabin,
Right.
for my kids and grandkids to play in.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's crazy, but it's not uncommon to find 100-year-old wood boat, in this day and age still.
Mhm.
Fortunately, I mean, we just had a big cruiser, a 36-foot cruiser. A lady had restored a couple of years ago. We celebrated during the Hessel Antique Wood Boat Show. It was its
Mhm.
100th birthday. So
That's fantastic how these things live on from generation to generation.
yeah, they're not disposable. It's
Right.
unlike the fiberglass boats
Right.
these days, and good luck disposing of one. But That's the difference
Right,
between a fiberglass boat and even aluminum boat, really, because
right.
after a while you get metal fatigue, and after so much time, aluminum starts to fail. Uh, we, we
Wow.
we had one last year. Somebody had bondoed a crack in the bottom of
Hmm.
a boat hull. Somebody had bought it, and it started leaking when they took it out, and found out that it would have been patched up with some putty and uh, oh yeah,
My goodness.
got that one. Yeah, yeah. The metal fatigue happens. It's wood. I mean, its capability of handling cyclic loads and
Mhm.
things like that, and it's 100% repairable. You know,
Well,
that's
Eric, it goes back to your background with your science background. I get calls every single day from somebody wanting to know something about Polonia. And I always have to ascertain, is their knowledge level up high or is it way down low? And I
exactly
was so impressed with your willingness to learn and even, accept what you don't know and find out the truth about what you don't know. The
right.
information I sent you about the maritime museums and the kayaks and the other different crafts, you're like, yeah, give me more. And I was like, okay,
Yeah,
this guy's a goer. So,
yeah. Well, it's a constant quest for knowledge.
mhm,
It's just like you and I we're both passionate about what we do. We
right,
do what we do because we want to,
right,
and we want to know what effects that what we're doing is having on everything around us. We want
right,
to make sure that effects are positive. We want to make sure that we want to ensure that what we do gets passed on to perhaps the next generation, and that it doesn't get lost. There's tradition. You tell you the first time I talked, you said all I do is run a sawmill. I said, you know what? That's not exactly a simple task. It's not a
first
simple
generation
task.
sawmill owner.
There is a learning curve to how
Yes,
to cut wood.
yes,
It's
yes.
not a simple
No, it
process.
is not.
And you have plantations that I'm assuming you manage that
Right,
these trees
right,
come from.
right,
That's now you're talking forestry, and that's a whole nother level of skill and knowledge. How much can I trim from this tree so to get rid of that? So I get when the tree gets bigger, I get clear boards,
right.
so on and so forth. You've got a little bit of a lot of extra skills. It's not just some guy out there cutting boards. It's
Like I
not that
say,
easy.
I know how to grow the tree, cut the tree down, and turn it into boards, but I do not have the skill set to be an artisan. Like I was telling you, your skill set is something I just do not possess in my soul. So I really appreciate yours
Well,
and others like you.
I appreciate what you're doing because you're giving me the material to do my thing,
Yes, we work
what I do.
together.
And we work together. It's team effort, no matter what you do. In this day and age, there's no start to finish product in this day and age where, it's like I bred the sheep that I cut to make the wool that I
Right,
wove scarf from.
right,
That doesn't exist. Although I really would like to, do a tree to sea, so to speak,
right,
vessel from my own little sawmill that I have.
right.
So I know what you're saying. It is fun, and it's a skill. There's definitely a skill.
Well, that takes us to today. Let's share with the audience with the youth that you're training and your goal in that job, in that calling that you have today. Let's talk about that a little bit. What got you into that position and how do you see that going for our future
Oh.
generations?
Yeah, I'm going to say the school of hard knocks where I learned. I was actually mentored some. It was after I'd started my business.
Right.
A gentleman from Maine had moved into my old, hometown, small hometown
Hmm.
that I lived in between Flint and
Hmm.
Saginaw, Michigan. Little town out in the middle of the cornfields.
Right.
And here I have a boat business. He couldn't believe there was a boat business here. He building boats out,
Wow.
storing boats out in the middle of the cornfield. This guy's from born on Buck Island out in Maine,
Right. Right.
and he's got down east accent and everything else. And
Hmm.
he worked for Newbert and Wallace out there shipyard, and
Hmm.
he built the last wooden sideline trawler on the East Coast.
Wow.
Vietnam vet, tunnel rat, first cav, U.S. Army.
Hmm. Right.
Very admirable man, managed to maintain his sanity through
Right.
all. Um, and Agent Orange was his fate.
Right.
He died from cancer caused by
Right.
Agent Orange, and he
Right.
his chisels. Anyway, he's the one that taught me a lot. I taught him a lot. We had, slightly different viewpoints on a couple of different things.
Hmm.
For him, the boats that we work on here around here, what he called baby boats. It's just toys. He's used to 3-inch thick planking. They're real
Right.
thick,
Right.
heavy stuff. And
Yeah,
here
because
we
he's building a big vessel. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's building a fishing trawler capable of hauling 100 tons of fish. It's
Right. Right.
a little different critter. But we learned a lot from each other. But definitely a lot of hard knocks. I was blessed or cursed with having a love of reading
Right.
and a major ability to retain what I read. So it was nothing for me to read through a boat building book and remember techniques and tips and things out of that book. And I basically was self-taught for the most part.
Right.
When I started my business, it was, first boat my dad and I built before he passed away. I was 18 years old. We built a
Wow.
McKinsey River dory, brand spanking new. We were going to, guide because we sold the charter boat that was
Right.
depreciated out, and we were going to build a pair of them and guide on the Sable and Manistee rivers for
Right.
students, winter, fall, spring, and he passed away right after we
Mm.
actually took the boat out the first time. It was like 1st of May,
It
and
was a great memory then. Yeah,
oh
you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
built. Yeah.
So I got to use the boat before he died,
Right.
and
Right.
uh, and it was for that following fall. I went through that semester of college in
Hmm.
spring, and I lost my financial aid. I couldn't get back into
Right.
them. So, and I'd already started toying with the idea of boat business. It was actually in October when I built another drift boat to sell. Because we used to sit around and talk about, hey, maybe
Right.
we'll, build a drift boat here and there and sell in the wintertime when things are slow. Yeah, I like that idea. So, I started one again in that October, and that's when I started the business. It
Right.
literally just snowballed from there, but for the next generation, our biggest issue right now with boat building is for every 5 of us that retire from the trade, there's only 2 more
Mm.
back in. As a matter of fact, the World Trade Organization has declared it an endangered trade in England,
Wow.
not because there isn't any work, it's because there isn't anybody to do it. So,
Right.
that's one of the reasons that kind of led me into becoming an instructor after burning
Hmm.
myself out as a boat builder.
Right.
But now I'm not. I used to build boats and restore boats. Now I build boat builders. That's
That's fantastic. You're building the future.
pass it on to the next generation. And
That's
I
right.
do a lot of what nots to do. Hey, I did this stupid thing, back in
Hmm.
the day, and what I miss most is the availability of a glue. I don't know, maybe you remember it used to be able to get it at local hardware stores. It was by DAC
Right. 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 I
called,
still have guys talking about that to me.
yeah, resorcinol glue.
Right.
We just can't
Right.
get that. Yeah. But it works, by the way, it works really good with your Paulownia. We
Well, I mean, before you move on to that, I mean, what would inspire a young man or woman watching this interaction between you and I to say, hey, I need to learn that skill. Maybe that's my future. What would you say to that person?
Well, I'll tell you this much. Boat building is considered by many an elite trade. You tell anybody you're a boat builder, and everybody goes, "Oh, wow," because it's about joinery, it's
Right.
about skill and workmanship, and you call it an art and a craft, and it is. I'll grant you
Hmm.
that. It's As a matter of fact, we have two programs here at the Marine Trades Institute. One is
Hmm.
the Career Comprehensive Boat Building Program,
Hmm.
and we also have the Marine Service Technology Program, which is basically boat engine repairs, maintenance, and marine electronics, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And our MST program calls us arts and crafts. And
What?
they
How's
call
that
us arts
possible?
and crafts, the great divide. There's a
Okay.
wall between the two
Okay.
classes, right?
Right.
You can't have one without the other, right? Because,
Okay.
the
Okay.
MST people, they're rigging up the engines and steering systems a lot of times.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
will have nothing to do without a boat builder because there wouldn't
Right.
be boats, right? So,
Right.
so we have to coexist, and we like to poke fun at each other. So that's what we do. It is an art and a craft, without a
Yes,
doubt.
it
We
is.
we wear that with pride. We do
Okay.
we do appreciate that nickname. They call us the arts and crafts side, and we are.
Hmm.
I'll give you that. There is paints and varnishes and finishing and
Hmm.
selecting the proper woods and where to use what kind of wood
Right.
for what purpose in the hull. There's a lot of technique. What could inspire somebody looking at this? I would have to say life skills. If you can build a boat, you can do damn near anything. Damn
Yes.
near anything. I'll tell you, I built my own
Yes.
sawmill. I mean,
Yes. 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 I
uh,
definitely do believe that. I mean, it can take you around the world, literally.
yep, yep. You can go anywhere, literally and figuratively. You know,
Well, brings us to 2024, November, I believe it was, when you received your first order of Bologna. Take us through that first time to where you are today in your thoughts. I mean,
those
I
are
know it was some time ago.
all kinds of excitement. This is new wood for me, and believe me, at my age, I've been through a lot of different kinds of wood. So I'm
Right, right, right.
getting up there in years. So I've been playing with wood forever. Never seen this stuff, never heard it before. Actually, one of my students run across it,
Oh, okay.
and said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Paulownia? It's supposed to be about like cedar and blah blah blah." And he's talking, and I'm like, "No, so shoot me some information on that. Email it to me. I'm
So the
interested."
student teaching the teacher in a way.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay,
yeah. No, and it's true. I
great,
learn a lot from my
great,
students.
great.
It's fantastic.
Wonderful.
It's a mutual agreement. We
Right,
mutually beneficent process. So I contact you and we get you were fighting hurricanes. Holy cow, you had hurricanes going. And so we finally get our lumber. I'm like, man, is it all washed out to sea or what? And we get our lumber and I'm like, holy cow. And I'm picking up these boards. So we get it off of the truck and we load it. We drop it outside the door and we bring it in. We sticker
right,
it, air dry it,
right.
and first thing I do was grab a piece and one of the planks and I measure the width and I turn around and I mark it down in red on the plank,
Hmm.
and then I measure the moisture content, and it was at 72% moisture content. So I
Hmm.
mean, this stuff is green, fresh out of the tree, right?
Right,
So and the width, I don't know what it was, 7/11/16, we'll say. And I still have the piece of plank someplace. It was 7/11/16 wide.
hmm,
And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, now we're going to find out. We don't need this for a while. They won't start planking their boats until sometime maybe January after
right,
Christmas. I
right,
want to see how dry this stuff gets. So, and how much it shrinks.
right,
Okay, because that was one of the things I heard. It doesn't shrink much. It's very stable,
right.
which is important in boat building.
Yes,
I mean, it needs to swell enough to keep the water out and keep the joint tight, but we don't want it to shrink and swell so much that the planks buckle or split when it dries.
okay,
So here we are. We got this big pile of boards, and I got my 7/11/16 wide plank, and I'm watching this thing. Every week I come in and I get out the moisture meter. I think week two, I make more notes on it, and it's down to 61%. I lost 10% in the first week. I'm like, oh,
right,
this is awesome. This is drying quick.
right.
And it's like really getting light. And I measure it, and there was no change in the width.
Okay,
okay, no change at 10%. So I note the date and everything right, we do it right on the board and,
Hmm.
and go away, next week do it all over again. And it's down to like, 48%. It's starting to dry even a little bit faster. And okay, I measure it, and I think maybe it lost a 32nd of an inch, barely.
Right, right,
It was a very minimal. I'm down under 50% moisture content from
right.
72. I've lost maybe a 32nd on 7 and 11/16 inch wide board.
Hmm.
So for maybe somebody who doesn't know, a 12-inch wide piece of white oak will shrink a quarter of an inch from uh, green, fresh
Wow.
out of a tree, down
Hmm.
to 10 to 12% moisture content. I
Gotcha.
can't quite remember what that moisture content was, 10, 8, 10, 12, somewhere. Basically, what's considered dry,
Hmm. Hmm.
not kiln dry. Kiln dry forces it down to 6%, and that's too dry. And then
Right.
it turns around and equalizes back to, your atmosphere, hardwood flooring. You don't want to stack in your house and let it acclimate to whatever humidity is normal in your house,
Okay.
so forth. But we go by, so just before Christmas break, it's been a couple months. I do
Hmm.
I've been checking here and there. I check it, it's down to 12%, a little less than that. There's a
Hmm.
flashing between 12 and 11. And I have lost a little more than a 16th. I've lost basically 3/32 of an inch in the width of the board.
Right,
Now, that's the width of the board, not the thickness.
right,
Thickness would have been negligible. You wouldn't hardly have been able to measure it. So
right,
3/32 of an inch in a 7 and 11/16 wide plank. That's significant in that it's such a small amount.
right.
Now, softwoods traditionally swell and shrink less, but they can buckle in the swelling.
Correct.
Hardwoods shrink and swell more than softwoods.
Right.
And so basically the more density it has, the more capacity it has to absorb water and the more it has the
Hmm.
capacity it has to move. Well, when we do heavy structure on wood boats, we like to use white oak or purple heart or got green heart even, but that can make you sick. That stuff's really bad.
Right.
Mahogany is often used for heavy structural. We don't use white ash. There's no rot resistance to that compared to its classes of moderate to moderate light rot
Hmm.
resistance. Um,
Hmm.
um, I was my first impressions of the Paulownia was very favorable,
Okay.
because it dried out. It was really light. Now we have anything in boat construction, yacht design. Yacht design is what we use this thing called the design spiral.
Yes.
And we start out with a broad concept and we start circling. We have a certain series of criteria. So
Hmm.
for boat building lumber, for planking, we want something that, depending use of the vessel. Is it pleasure craft or a commercial craft? Now,
Right.
commercial craft that's going to receive all kinds of abuse. I want some, for example, endurance. They just found Shackleton ship. That was all Greenheart. That thing was designed to go through ice and
Got
withstand
it.
pushing
Right.
forces. So
Right.
use designed, right? So
Right.
Greenheart, the whole thing was built out of that. You could use white oak and achieve warships, the USS Constitution. So on a historical
Hmm.
speaking, white
Hmm.
oak, live oak, things like that.
Okay.
Tough, really tough.
Right.
Pleasure craft, we have a different series of prerequisites we need to fit certain accommodations, carry food, water, gear
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
and have space to knock about down below the deck and
Right.
that kind of thing. So we like to use something a little lighter for our planking, but we still need the strength of the for heavy structural of
Right.
something along the lines of white oak or so. This is where Paulonia really started to intrigue me because if it's this light and this stable, it has the same rot resistance to cedar, especially Western red cedar, because traditionally Western red cedar has been used for planking, especially in the small to mid-sized craft,
Hmm.
very extensively. And right now, our lead instructor here, he has this thing that he says it's called. He says it's made of unobtainium. You just can't get a hold of it. It's very
I've
hard
been
to get
hearing
that.
that at
Right,
$16 a board foot or more
right,
for
right.
Western red cedar as well. Yeah,
Yeah, you call or it's call for price and availability.
right.
Anytime that is the instance, then you start to worry.
Yes,
So if I was going to build me a strip plank canoe, using epoxy and fiberglass, I traditionally would have used Western red cedar.
right,
Um, so what alternatives do I have? Northern white. Okay. That's okay, but it wouldn't take long to because it grows so slow up here.
right, right,
It wouldn't take long to over harvest that, and then we don't have any of that.
right.
Um, the trees that I cut on my mill, I do cut a lot of cedar on my mill, but it's more windfall trees that have uprooted,
Hmm.
nuisance trees. I don't go
Right,
out in the woods and just cut down a prime white cedar tree. I don't
right.
want to do that. It's not very good conservation, right?
No,
So,
it's not.
if I could grow it in a plantation, hence Paulownia, now I
Right.
have sustainable. I mean, let's face it, a lot of the fields that we plant stuff in, most of the stuff that we plant is getting shipped overseas or not being used.
True,
They're
true.
using, so Paulownia is meeting an environmental aspect that a lot of people don't think about. Not only is it producing fuel, it's producing the same tree. It produces fuel. It's producing biomass. It's locking carbon. It's removing carbon from the atmosphere. And when we
Hmm.
cut it down and we turn it into building materials for whatever it may be, it being that and like I said, I am very pleased with it so far as a boat building lumber. Um,
Hmm.
uh, uh, you know, it does all of that. And I have, you know what, I need to forward you a copy of this. Some institutions in Europe did an extended study.
Right.
Maybe I talked about carbon footprint, the
Okay.
carbon footprint, the carbon cost to produce different materials.
Okay.
Aluminum is by far the most expensive. Even
Hmm.
recycled is very expensive. Recycled aluminum, energy costs. It
Hmm.
produces carbon.
Right.
Wood is the lowest carbon producing material we have.
That's right.
And why, with proper and responsible management, I think it is the answer to a lot of our questions in the boat industry.
Right.
So, as a matter of fact, I have some more information to send to you about glass boats. How in a nature preserve in England,
Right.
a, a scientist found fiberglass killing zooplankton,
Wow.
uh, killing the oysters in the oyster beds. She literally has a tub full of glass that she removed from oysters, the
Wow.
glass strands. Right. Yeah. So I mean, I'll
That's a
send
story
it
you
to
never
you.
hear about.
No, you don't. And it was in an oddball magazine, but it's backed up. It was a scientific
Hmm.
study. You can confirm, and there's other concurrent studies going on as well. You've heard about the microplastics. We can't even find a
Yeah.
control to find what,
Right.
that's our polyester and ester resins that we're using
Yeah.
in boats and plastic bags and bottles. It's I drink out of the same damn cup for all week long before it goes in the wash. And my wife says, "Wait,
Right.
something." Yeah, I'll go.
Right.
know, um, yeah, recyclable, reusable. We try to,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
be
So,
responsible. So, and that's what has really excited me about the Paulownia.
well,
It's
thank you
not
for sharing that.
it's not a rainforest that I'm cutting down. It's a
Right.
plantation, and the how quick it grows.
Well,
And
you cut
it's
it down and it regrows back from the stumpage with a vengeance. Trust me.
oh yeah,
And it
yeah.
does. So, no replanting for us, which is thank God for
Just,
that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, what do you guys do? I mean, do you literally have to, prune because there's so many shoots come up?
Yeah,
You
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 choose
have to
the one you
prune and
like that's most favorable.
yeah, yeah. Find which
And
one's
then,
growing the fastest,
right.
best. And, yeah,
And then we can actually take those from that stump and put them in other places, depending on what the strategy is for that plantation.
really. I
So if
mean,
it
you can
shoots
cut a
off
slip
10,
and
Yeah, so if it shoots off 10, you take the one that's the straightest and you can remove the other ones and take them somewhere else.
Really?
Really.
Wow.
It's a
And
lot
then
of
they'll
work.
replant. Oh, I bet. I
It's a
bet.
lot of work, but it can be done. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. So let me ask you this. You
Mhm.
know, one of the things that I was kind of fascinated with it was its quick growth rate. You know, to achieve, um, we'll say boat building quality lumber. We're looking for
Okay.
clear stock. You have to prune the tree. Run that process by me. Educate me.
Well, I
I'm looking.
educate a lot of our growers in this fashion. I say, listen, this is not your typical tree like pine or oak or something that you are used to as a North American residence. This is akin to growing corn, growing soybean, because you have to watch these trees and get them established. So, any baby, because we're talking about saplings, if you will,
Yeah.
you have to care for the baby. This is no different. It needs water. Well, Victor, it said it's going to rain in about a week or two, so I figured it's going to be all right. No, your tree's dead.
No.
It's 6 inches when we deliver it, and you go plant it out in the heat of June or July. You're done.
Yeah.
Well, I go water it, on my four-wheeler once a week, once every other week. It's dead. Only the hardy will survive. So I tell them, listen, if you're going to water maize or your wheat or your soybeans, you got to water this,
Yeah. Well,
or
that
it has
makes
to
perfect
be
sense.
planted during the right season because that's why they call it planting season because the rain is coming. All right.
Don't plant your saplings in June or July in the dry season.
No, it doesn't work ever. And then you say, well, you gave me a faulty tree. It's like, no, I gave it to a faulty farmer. That's what happened. But we can't talk about that.
Well, yeah,
But
yeah. It happens.
so the first 2 years, you need to make sure your soil, your pH, you can fertilize. You must have water. Must have water. These trees do not like to be in any standing water. Why? Because the roots will suffocate and the tree will die.
That makes
So you
sense.
have
Okay.
to either build it up on a mound or make sure you are in a well-drained area. It likes sandy, loamy type of dirt, so that works great for it. It loves it. Now, the maintenance. It grows wickedly rapid, super fast. And you'd be amazed. One of the stories I had from one of our peers in South Carolina, where we're at, he was a gentleman that just fell in love. He had met my mentor, Ray Allen, and they became buds, right? So Ray got him a bunch of trees in South Carolina, all the way from Fresno, California, and he started planting them. And his wife, his widow, she talked to me. She says he used to come home from work and measure the tree every night, and he'd be amazed that they grow 12 inches in like a day
Holy
because
smokes.
he would water them, he would care for them, fertilize, and he was like, that was his thing. So when you take that ideal growing conditions, you're taking care of the tree, it's going to grow quite rapidly. Now, to get that straight trunk that everybody prizes, you need to prune. And you're pruning aggressively for at least the first 2 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah, growing
Because,
that fast.
yeah, well, because the tree will grow 12 to 15 foot in a year. Now, when I cut the tree down, and I can send you pictures, I have trees that, like the big 30-inch or 25-inch diameter tree. I took that and it went to the sawmill. 90 days later, we had 13-foot growth from the stumpage.
Holy wow. From the stump.
19 days because the root system is already developed. The tap roots work themselves down to the water table quick, fast, in a hurry. So if you can imagine, as tall as that canopy is, which is 80 foot to 100 foot tall, 80 foot wide,
Wow.
that taproot underground is that far down.
Oh, that's neat.
So that's why the tree is able to regenerate so quickly because the roots are well established.
Wow. That's impressive.
Mhm.
And that's the kind of lumber we need in the boat building industry. You know,
Mhm.
that's the kind of lumber we need all over the place, technically. The stuff comes back so quick. And
Mhm.
it's you can control the quality of it, and you
Correct.
can do so much with it. Yeah, it's I'm pretty impressed with it. It's that's some good stuff.
Well, I have a story that I never told you before. So I spent a lot of time in the famous Wooden Boat magazine,
Mm.
and I called a lot of those beautiful, beautiful, beautiful seven-figure, six-figure craft builders, right? And I said, I know you're used to teak and more teak and hey, teak, right? But have you ever heard of Paulownia? I've been in the boat business for 3 generations. I've never heard of this thing. I'm like,
Right,
okay,
right.
well, I like to send you some. Bottom line, and I'm not naming any names, is my daddy's daddy has done it this way, and by God, I'm going to do it this way. So we're not changing, is the bottom line.
We
And
have we have a lot of people dug in the trenches very deep. It's like, I mean, don't get me wrong.
right,
A 3M 5200 is a great product, but there's a lot of places in that it shouldn't be used, and a wooden boat is
right,
not.
right.
So opinions vary greatly on that. Some of the, I mean, that's like fighting words for some people.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
if you're entrenched, I'm not here to change or convert you. This is not,
okay. I'm offering
that
you
sort of thing.
options. This is
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
right,
It's a very, very wonderful option. You're never going to get anybody to, at least, especially in northern areas, to try to move away from white oak
right,
or mahogany for
right, right,
heavy structure areas. I mean, we get, you ship mahogany in from Africa or the
right,
Philippines, and the Philippine
right,
mahogany is getting pretty scarce again since MacArthur's plantations are getting thin.
right. Hmm.
Um, so here we go. What do we have? White oak, okay, that's local, kind of.
Right.
There's plenty of them, south of our great mighty Mackinac Bridge here. As up here in the UP, we don't grow many white oak. They're very rare. Um,
Right.
so that's mostly south of the bridge, the mighty bridge, that we use to divide us from troll land.
Well,
So
that's why we appreciate you so much because what we do at Bioeconomy Solutions is to try to educate you on what is Paulownia, what are some of its possible applications, and yes, you can get your hands on it.
yes,
Here you
exactly.
go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Believe me, I appreciate that. We're gonna order another load. I'm trying to get
No
stuff
problem.
squared around for budgeting. I want another load sent up there here.
Right.
We're gonna build another round of boats out of it.
Right.
Because
Right.
I hope you enjoyed the video that we sent, because those boats were all from that last batch of Paulownia that.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And so we have some plans, and I want to fill you in on what those plans are, what we want to do.
Okay.
We want to run some long-term tests with the Paulownia to see how it compares with cedar and a couple other places, a couple other woods.
Hmm.
Um, Everybody's biggest concern is durability. The marine environment is probably the
Right.
worst environment
Right.
there is. So we want to, we've already built boats in what we call lap strake
Right.
construction,
Right.
clinker, the boats in the video that I sent you.
Hmm.
And we had boats that were sitting wet for a month. They had water inside the boat. They've
Right.
been out in the lake and everything else, rainstorms and everything.
Right.
And there's no buckling or movement in the planking, which is cypress, which is one of the woods that we use traditionally
Hmm.
on that hull. They would buckle. The planks would literally, where they'd be straight, they'd start to swell and they'd bow
Right.
between two edges where
Right.
they were fastened, which is a little bit of a problem. We don't want that. We can't
Right. That's
fasten them
bad for a
down.
boat. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we'd also have planks when it would dry out, they would literally split. You'd see daylight through the boat. Throw it back in the water, it swells up watertight again. Who cares? It's got a crack in it. It's going to throw it in the water and swell shut tight. So, not a problem, but still, it would be better if we didn't have that, because that's stressing the
Right.
fasteners. All right,
Right.
those fasteners are trying to be pulled side to side by the swelling of the wood. That's hard on the fasteners, and you can have a plank.
I got something for you probably haven't heard of. Antique Paulownia buoys
Really?
from the 1600s.
Really? Now, where did that come from?
Oh, I'm going to send you the report, but I had another firm. They were making buoys and they bought a round of Paulownia on a pallet and they said, we're going to test it. And they said, we tested 10 different species of wood, and by far, Paulownia has floated the longest and is still floating. And they go, we found some information. The 1600s, they used Paulownias for buoys for fishing.
Holy cow! That is awesome. Fishing.
And they're antique items today. You can buy them for more money than you wish to pay
Right,
if you can
yeah, you
find
know,
it.
the same stuff you got growing all over the place.
Right. It's like, I don't know. I'm just trying to get the word out. So thank you for sharing with me what I have and what was the past.
So
So
this buggers the real question here,
mhm,
what the hell happened? How did this stuff get forgotten about? Why
I
why
guess
isn't this?
you could probably make the same parallel with the hemp industry. Who knows? But it's back again with a vengeance.
Yeah, why? I mean, if we're using this stuff for floats,
Right,
using this stuff in the marine industry for this long already,
right,
where has it gone? I mean, I talked
right.
to the guys over Johnson's Lumber over in Charlotte, Michigan, next to
Hmm.
Johnson's, and they pride themselves in having a nice selection of boat building lumber and all that, and they're
Right.
a great company. I just ordered some poplar for some horse, and um, Adam, my guy over there, he's like, Paulownia? I've never heard of it. What
I
is it?
never heard of it. If you had
I
a
gave,
dime or nickel every time you heard that before.
yeah, right. You'd be retired, right?
No,
So,
but I'd be, hey, I think I'm going to take the day off.
yeah, there you go. Hey, though I did give Adam your information,
Okay,
so
thank you.
don't be surprised if he contacts you about
I
this.
appreciate it.
Yeah, so yeah, um, the qualities that we look for in hull planking. We want, especially in a recreational boat, we want
Hmm.
something that can survive an impact reasonably,
Right,
can is light, basically strong and rot resistant. Like I said, traditionally cedar has filled that role.
right.
Cypress, Cypress is much heavier.
Hmm.
Um, our Cypress boats were right around 200 pounds. Our Paulownia boats are weighing in right around 170, 165. When we cut that
Wow.
kind of weight off, considering our planking is only 3/8 of an inch thick on these
Hmm.
boats. Boats are
Hmm.
14 foot 6 inches long. Now, we have added extra things to the boat since then. We have decked over
Hmm.
the bow, put a mast on it, and made it a sailboat. What you saw is a new development, relatively new development with the boat sailing back and forth. Um,
Well, I'm going to
and
be sure to share that with everybody. But I really don't want to be a hog of your time because I really appreciate it. So I'm going to say thank you so much, Eric, for the time that you've given me. I'm going to put this recording together and send it to you.
I
But I think
appreciate it.
you've helped a lot of people and hopefully inspired some new marine wooden boat builders.
Yeah, and we'll continue flowing some information because we have a bunch of other tests that we want to try it as
Okay.
Carvel edge to edge, and see how it handles the crushing force.
We might need to
Almost-
start a series in these things and just share
Yeah,
the
maybe we
information
would, yeah, sounds like a good idea. We'll keep progressing at least
and
once
get
a
some
year,
more
maybe.
youth into the marine industry at the same time.
Yes, when we need it, trust me. A bunch of old codgers like me, I'm getting too long in the tooth to do this stuff. So
Well, you're not 125 yet, so you're still a young guy.
well, thanks. Appreciate that. Have a great day, Victor. It's
You
always good
too.
talking with you.
You as well, Eric. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll talk to you soon. I'll get this over to you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Take care.